Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Lori, you can go ahead and let people in.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Um, Good evening. You are here at the Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action Indivisible's Vision Forward Bridging Series. And so tonight, the session that we have is the Braver Angels workshop called Family and Politics, How to Talk with Loved One on the Other Side. We're very happy you've joined us tonight. Um, just as a reminder, we are live streaming tonight. If your preference is not to be on camera, this would be the time to turn off your video. And also another reminder, we did put in, there is a participant guide for this session. We posted it in the waiting room prior to you coming. I know it was also sent out on the Mobilize invite, but we will also make sure it's in the main chat. So as we're letting people in, that would give you an opportunity to either print it or at least have it available for reference because you will need it as the workshop progresses. And again, just welcome everybody. Oh, Lillian, I see you here. Sharon, Elizabeth, Laura, welcome everybody. Larry's here. Ori's here and Linda. Uh, all right. And still have folks kind of still trickling in. We know we have we're probably gonna have about 80 or 90 on the call. We had over 100 sign up. And I see Robin here. Hello, Robin. Tim, Wayne, welcome everybody. This is our third session. Hi, Kara. I see Kara. Our third session by Braver Angels and is part of our Vision Forward Bridging series. We have three different lines of effort with Vision Forward, the Bridging series being one of it, messaging being another, fighting misinformation using the Truth Sandwich model as yet another. So a lot of different things going on. And then, of course, Kara, who's on the call, does what I wish I would have said workshops, and we'll have one of those on Monday. So. Hi, Josephine. I see you've joined us, and Susan and Eric and Anne and Peggy. All right. We are still waiting for folks to come. So we're at 64, but we know we have more arriving. And oh, I always love that version, that view of Bill when we get to see everybody's smiling faces. Kay in Idaho. And I know Freedom Warrior, I'm not exactly sure what your real name is, but I know you've been on Coffee and Conversation. And Elizabeth Lee, Chris Goldsworthy. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Miriam, Faith. All
It's
right.
Kathy. It's Kathy from Alabama.
Oh, hi, Kathy from Alabama. Okay, good deal. Okay, welcome, everybody.
Hi,
All right.
Susan from
Hi,
Louisiana.
everyone.
Today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Susan. Happy birthday, happy
I
birthday.
would make
Hey,
conversation.
Bill, if you want, we are at 7:05, but if you want to do your quick if you want to, your quick overview of some of the Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action as
I'm
people continue to join.
I'm going to it now.
Okay.
It will take a second to come up. Let me know when you see the screen.
Yeah. It's coming. Okay, we see it.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is sponsored by NWSOFA, which stands for Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. We are an indivisible chapter in the Northwest Burbs of Chicago, commonly known as the land beyond O'Hare. Tonight, we are sponsoring a Braver Angels workshop as part of our Vision Forward 2.0 bridging series, and a little bit more of that in just a few minutes. As you know, Indivisible has 2,700 chapters all across the country. Each one of those dots represents where we are. Our goal is very simple: to help you understand the facts, to help you sharpen your argument to your family, your friends, or your community, or your group, and then be able to communicate without irritating. This is just the basics of us. We are organized on the twin snowflake principle. On the left side, in the orange, is all the ways that we communicate with you. We apologize in advance if we over communicate, but we think it's important that you know who we're presenting and how we're presenting and what they're presenting. On the right-hand side are all 19 of our issue teams. To make sense of this all, our secret sauce is 30 all volunteer leads. And combined with that, we have another 10 that are on the bench waiting to come in that do specific jobs and programs to help us communicate. Tonight, as we heard Dr. Chris say, we are live streaming this into our YouTube Live. When you go up onto our website or you follow the link, you'll click on our website, nwsofa.org. You'll click on the YouTube Live, and then you'll see hundreds of videos. You want to click on the center one that says Live, and then you'll see the current videos here, about 20 of them, and you'll be able to download or to share with friends, etc. Just want to say that we have hit almost 2,000 locations across the country and the world now for No Kings, March 28th. It's going to be huge, guys. That last No Kings where we had 7 million, I think we had 14 or 1,500 locations. We are already at 2,000. So it's going to be great. So in terms of asking questions, just note that we have disabled the chat, disabled it for you communicating back and forth. But what we're using the chat for is questions. So when you have a question, you can drop it into the chat, and then the co-sponsors and the presenters will see that. We ask you to start with a big capital question. That way we can gather those and we can combine those. And at the end of each session, we'll be at a point where we can ask questions of the co-hosts and we can go on. So with that, we are headed into family and politics, how to talk with the loved ones on the other side. All right.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction this time because Carl has been with us and Norm, and Abe is kind of working in the background. He's part of the Braver Angels team. So you guys are now family. So we don't need to do the formal introductions. But Carl and Norman and Abe are all part of Braver Angels Central Texas, which is based in Austin. I am a member of that group. They they are a group of both red leaning and blue leaning, and I guess even purple leaning. So folks that are kind of in the middle of all that. But more importantly, people that share differing opinions about across the political divide. But one of the things that is a big part of their mission is how can we develop the skills to better communicate with people who have those differing opinions and make sure that those are constructive, productive, and respectful conversations. So I really appreciate the skills that I have learned just as a member of that group. For those of you who were with us for our first two sessions, you were introduced to their LAP model. So that was a 4-step model where you start by listening to the person and then acknowledging and finding some level of common ground, things that you can agree with or at least acknowledge about the other person's position. And then the P stands for pivot, and that was where you kind of get some confirmation that and see if they're open to listening to another perspective. And then the P is obvious, is offering your perspective or your position on whatever the topic is. So with that being said, I am going to turn it over to Carl, and he is going to start our session for tonight. So it's all about family and politics. And I know that this has got to resonate with many of the people on the group because these have been tough times. And especially during the holidays, although we're kind of through some of the major holiday period, but we do have a couple coming up in April here. So, all right, Carl, on to you.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Nice to see everybody, and lots of you, I think, again. As Chris mentioned, the lap skills are things that you had a chance to be introduced to in earlier presentations, and you'll have another chance to practice because it takes a lot of practice to get really adept at those. So part of this will reacquaint you with the lap skills and give you an opportunity to practice. This particular workshop is kind of a fun one. There are different characters that are introduced to you, and they will be introduced to you via video with Bill Doherty, who is the founder, one of the founders of Braver Angels, and the designer of all of the workshops that we do. I do want to restate what Chris said. You have a participant guide, and if you can have that handy or somehow available, we'll be referring to that a lot. Just to orient you to it, like on the first page, there's the goals and ground rules for the workshops, which we will go through. And then there are several parts, 5 parts in the middle of it that we will use as we go through the presentation. And then there are 3 appendices at the end, and we'll be referring to those also. And just want to let you know that we'll kind of be going back and forth so you can have those in front of you. I'm going to begin to share my screen. Well, no, let me first reintroduce our team. So I'll be one moderator, and Norman Caterlin, if you can wave your hand, Norman, he's going to be the co-moderator with me. Abe Dana is with us. I think he may be off screen, but he is going to be setting up the breakout rooms. We have a couple of breakout room sessions. There's Abe. And you all have met Abe before. He's really a wonderful backbone to our organization. We also will have a participant manager, and that's Laura Gabler. You all know, I think, Laura. And she will, from time to time, be putting things in the chat for you to follow. With that, I am actually going to begin to share my screen and turn it over to Norman to begin the workshop. Okay, Norman, I will hit the goals. I think you're still muted, Norman.
Sorry about that. I'd like to just review the goals of this workshop. And first is to develop a deeper understanding of why family differences over politics are uniquely challenging. You'll see that in addition to all of the dynamics between different points of view, you have a lot of family dynamics going on. Secondly, to gain insight into the common roles that family members play in political conversations. Carl mentioned that, and you'll hear about several of the roles and how to deal with them.
Okay. Oh my God.
And finally, to understand strategies and skills for dealing with family political differences in a constructive way. And finally, practice useful skills for communicating with family members holding different views. So those are our goals for tonight. So let's look at what we'll be covering in our session today. First, we're doing a welcome and an orientation to what will be covered. Then we'll take a look at family dynamics of political differences. Then strategies for dealing with challenging family members. So it's not enough to describe them. We want to help you figure out ways of dealing with them. We'll be looking at one role, which is kind of a dominant role that we call the gladiator. We'll find out why that is so in just a few minutes. But the question is, how do you engage the gladiator? Then we'll give you a chance, as Carl said, to practice engagement skills dealing with the gladiator. So we'll actually give you a chance to try it out using the lap skills. Then strategies and skills for navigating family conversations. And finally, as we always do at Braver Angels workshops, a brief checkout to see what things you're going to take away from this. So one important point before we go further. It's up to everyone here to decide which family members to try to engage across political differences. Nothing works with everybody, and you should be able to discern which family members to engage with across those differences. So to kind of get you set and oriented, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes and ask you to think about who in your family, or maybe an extended family member, who you have political differences with, but who might be open to a different kind of conversation. It's up to you. So think about that, and we'll come back to it in just a minute. We have a few ground rules for the workshop. First of all, confidentiality. And what we mean by that is we don't want you to broach any family secrets in this workshop. And by the same token, if people reveal something about themselves, that will give them the respect that we hold those opinions to ourselves. Secondly, let's show respect for the family members not present. It sometimes can be easy to talk about that crazy Uncle Charlie, but let's talk about people who aren't here with respect. And respect for one another, so that we can all feel that this is a safe place for us to be honest with you. So, to introduce you and introduce some of the family dynamics of political differences.
Hi, Armand.
Yes? Okay. To introduce you to the family dynamics, we're going to show you two videos. First, a video showing an exchange between a mother and daughter. And second, a video showing Bill Doherty, who Carl mentioned to you, he was the designer of this. But he's going to describe some of these family dynamics and the different roles family members often fit into during these political discussions. So, Carl?
So just to orient you, this is a video from the online learning course that we have, and it's back after the first Trump victory. So it's a little bit older, but it illustrates the point. Here we go.
Hello, hello. Hey, hey, good morning. Oh, good afternoon. For you, it's morning. For me, it's afternoon.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetheart. Are we ready to go a few rounds?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
I'm
right.
excited. My mom is from Kentucky. She's lived in Los Angeles for 21 years.
Tiffany and I have a very good relationship, except for politics. I have two sons that are conservative like Mom, and then I have my daughter who's the liberal.
I'm a public school teacher. I teach social studies, high school. As much as I kept telling myself that I lost respect for every single Trump supporter, when it comes to your mom, it's a different story. It's sad to me that my family that I love so much has voted for someone that I have not an ounce of respect for, and I actually think is like the Antichrist. I mean, that might sound dramatic to you, but it's really
what?
how I feel.
I didn't hear the last thing you said. It's the what? End of something?
I said I think he's the Antichrist. I really do. I really do.
Okay. Well, I felt that way about Obama. So, we're both coming from different directions. I feel that my rights and other Christians' rights are being taken away slowly.
Okay. And Trump is not a Christian, right?
No, he is. Because your brother went on a website and found this site that said Trump had become a Christian, that he did not want it to get out because people would think he was just doing that for the election.
Separation of church and state means nothing to you? The fact that the country is not Christian.
For the last 6 months before the election. This is what I prayed. And this is what millions, I'm sure, of other Americans prayed. I don't know who's telling
you. Prayed for Trump.
Will you wait for a minute? Yes, I did. I said, God, I don't know who's telling the truth and who's lying, but you do. Please help the person that can lead this country the best get elected.
Mm-hmm. Well, God has a funny sense of humor.
Well, evidently God thinks he'll do a good job.
Do you think he'll do a good job? Let's leave God out of it.
What upsets me, Tiffany, is you guys, liberals,
wait. Can you actually wait.
You're not giving Trump a chance.
How'd you think that went? Oh, Don.
Badly.
Now we'll have a second video describing family dynamics and the different roles.
Here you're going to meet Bill Doherty.
The family dynamics of political differences. So the first.
Hold on here.
If you are family, you are the family dynamics of political differences. So the first, if you are family, you are part of me. Because we identify with family members, my mom, my dad, my son or daughter, my brother or sister, my spouse, we may feel especially ashamed, disturbed, or infuriated over what they believe or say about politics. What comes, even if I don't say it, what comes up, I can't believe you think that way. I can't believe you're saying that. And the power of it is because I identify with this person. This is part of my convoy in life. And so it can be challenging, particularly challenging to accept stark differences. The second is families have a history. Family members have backstories that can infiltrate current political conversations. Examples of old resentments include, you're not the boss of me. You've never taken me seriously. You've always been the favorite. You think you're the smart, holy, enlightened one. I've always been on the outside in this family. Can I finally get some respect here? Old coalitions may play out. You're agreeing with Dad to stay on his good side. So we have backstories and roles that we play, coalitions that are formed. So you notice in the video, the mom said her sons agree with her politically, and it's her daughter who is different. So can you imagine when they all get together, you can get who are the good kids who ally with mom and who's the outsider. And then that infiltrates the current conversations in a way it doesn't with just friends or strangers. And then, so here are 6 roles that family members sometimes play in political conversations. The gladiator initiates battles against wrong-headed relatives. I'm going to straighten you out on politics. The gladiator. Yeah, you're thinking of individuals, right? The defender counterattacks when others go first, often by misrepresenting their position. So you want to open the borders to everyone, or you want to shut down the borders and keep the country for people like you. So there's another conversation going on, and then bang, the defender comes at you. The sniper gets in digs in group settings to get a rise and then backs away. So what does our family socialist or Trump lover think about this one? Okay, the sniper. You're trying to have a conversation, maybe it's going halfway decently, and then zap, okay, in a group setting. The peacekeeper tries to prevent or cut off all political conversations, including one-to-one conversations. So that let's stay away from politics and religion. Now, it can be a good idea to back away from political conversations, say Thanksgiving dinner, or you're opening your Christmas presents. But the peacekeeper just wants to shut it all down. Okay, that's what that role is. The bystander keeps mouth shut and head down, or on the iPhone. So just stay out of it. And then the last one is the engager. It tries to have respectful conversations across difference. And this workshop is for people who want to be better engagers. So that's what we're going to be reflecting on.
Okay. This is not meant to be a comprehensive look at the roles, but rather a broad overview that will help you gain a better understanding of the dynamics. As Bill said, these are different family roles, and they include the gladiator, the defender, the sniper, the peacekeeper, the bystander, and the engager. And keep in mind that these roles are not mutually exclusive. Some family members may play different roles at different times. For example, a gladiator might sometimes make sniper remarks. A bystander may snap and become a defender. So now we'd like you to reflect on some questions here. What family member presents the biggest challenges to you in dealing with political differences? Which of the roles do they typically play? What makes dealing with them particularly hard for you? And which roles do you sometimes play when you're not being your best engager? These questions and space for comments on them are provided in part 1, page 3 of your participant guide. So focus on what's challenging for you in particular conversations, rather than spreading the 2 minutes reminding yourself how difficult this person is in general. So could we start a 2-minute timer and think about this. the questions that we've listed. Okay, now you're going to be engaging with your breakout group. Note that unlike other workshops in Braver Angels, we're not identifying people along the spectrum from red to blue or progressive to conservative. So uh, we want to uh, give you the chance to have a variety of views, but don't assume that everyone in your group shares your political orientation. And remember the ground rules, confidentiality. Let's not quote what somebody says or says here about their family without their permission. Respect for family members not present. We all have difficult family members, and sometimes we're difficult for them. So while we can laugh and have some fun, let's try to show some respect when talking about our family members. And respect for one another, because there may be people in this workshop who agree with your family members' political views. So it's time for your first breakout session. You've been assigned a breakout group, and that you'll be with that group in all of the breakout sessions in this workshop. Okay, in this breakout, each person in your group will have 3 minutes. First, to introduce themselves to each other with your name and where you live. Second, address the questions in the reflection exercise, page 6, I believe. Share with what stood out to you when you reflected on these questions. And I urge you to avoid spending your time telling stories that show how difficult your family member is. Focus on what you can learn about yourself and your family. You're just going to have 3 minutes. The time's going to go quickly. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll see if we can help with that. So, breakout sessions, please.
Got a couple people who are stuck. Hopefully in a minute they'll make it in.
I cannot currently reach the waiting room. I want to drop them a note to say that we're not, oh, there, it just came up. Okay. Just letting them know that we're not letting them in now. They can go to YouTube and watch. Okay.
Some of these people like this Faith, she's been coming and going. She
Right.
seems to have a bad internet connection.
Okay. And I'm saying if you were already inside, drop us a note and we'll let you back in. So, I haven't been paying close attention, but
Oh, sorry, I'm just not very adept at doing all this. So
there's nobody out there now.
yeah, Faith, we have a couple people that are kind of stuck in the main room, and we're working to get them into a breakout room. Just give us a second. I see two of them managed to get in. All right.
Okay.
Looks like Abe did his magic.
I guess I can't put a note out there if there's nobody in the waiting room.
Oh, so maybe that's why, Laura, I wasn't able to figure out how to get into it. Remember,
That
I
could
said
be
I
why
couldn't
it
figure
wasn't,
out
yeah.
how.
Yeah, that could be what, well, except I see it here now. Like,
Oh, you
so,
do? I don't see it. Yeah.
okay, yeah. Maybe because it popped up when someone was in there and it's still there.
Got somebody's AI note taker. I just put that in a room all by itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. And I signed up for Otter AI, they're free something, and it randomly turns on itself. And I keep saying at some point I'm gonna research it and figure out what prompts it to sometimes join me on a Zoom call and other times not, but I just haven't had a chance to research it. I
Well,
don't,
that's fine as long as it's you. I just didn't
yeah,
want
it's
it
me.
taking
Does
notes
it
in
says, yeah,
somebody's breakout room. Mm.
Chris's note taker. Yeah, exactly. It's me. And
Yeah.
it's hardly ever happened in a coffee and conversation or a Northwest suburbs one. So what are we doing
Do we
with
know this
I don't
Harry?
recognize that name, so I have a feeling this
Okay.
person
So
has
then
joined.
I just
they'll just
dropped
see
it.
your note. Yeah.
I sent it to the waiting room.
Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Carl, I've determined that I'm a sniper and a gladiator. No, yeah, gladiator. Yeah.
There you go.
And if they don't let me be a gladiator, I just snipe away.
So BRM, is that you, Abe?
Yes.
Okay, then I ignore that. Okay.
Actually, where do you see that though?
I see that under what I just put in for slide 15. It says 9 minutes total. After 3 minutes, send a message to switch
Oh, I
speakers.
see. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the first time I took this workshop, we did it live in my Braver Angels buddy, Simone. We did it live in her church, and I remember going through this chart on page 2 and writing down each one of my family members and putting them in a category. So.
Yeah. So I have a pop-up on my screen that says Connie Rather in room 21 asked for help.
Oh, yeah, you're the host. You're going to get those.
Okay, so
You
somebody
want
go to,
yeah, somebody want to go into room 21 to find out what's happening?
I can do it. I mean, I don't know that I can help her, but I'll try.
Okay, that's you, Chris.
Sure.
Okay, I will send you to room 21.
I can at least convey what the problem is.
Yeah.
And I see we have two people in the waiting room.
So that means I should send the note again to the second person I'm gathering. Okay.
Should have told her she could have communicated through Leap Chat when she's in that room.
Oh,
Tell us what's going on in there. Hopefully she'll just, I hope she knows, does she know? Didn't ask her if she knows how to bring herself back.
well, she knows about Leap Chat because she asked me about it.
Yeah.
There she is.
Ah, she came back.
Yep.
You're on mute, Kiss.
Should I unmute her?
Yeah. Okay. So when I went into the room, Connie is in a room essentially on her own. So is there a way to move Connie to a room that has people in it? There is another person named Lisa in there, but she's not talking and we don't know if she's away
Ah,
from the computer.
okay. Yeah, that happens sometime. Okay, I will move her.
Laura, there is a Judy Weber who's in the waiting room and her name sounds more familiar to me, but I'm not sure specifically for this session or not. So do you remember her already being in here? Okay, I can
I
message.
don't know.
Actually, maybe I can message her too and say,
Well,
although now I can't get to the waiting room, so never mind.
I
Oh,
just put the note.
you had
I put
already
the-
said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and because I include a
And
message if you were inside to drop us a note so we can let them back
Okay.
in.
Okay. So then they just need to go to the YouTube, right? And watch it there for right now.
This is the note I've been putting out there.
Yeah. Okay. So Abe, how many people did you put in each breakout room?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay, so they're all small groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Then there'll be a lot of interaction with a smaller group.
Okay, they're about to come back.
Oh, that's too bad. Oh, now do I have another one? Are you is this another session?
No, we're back in the main room.
Back in the main room.
Wait.
We're back in the main room now.
No, can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. Heather and I were together and she thought that this was a garden tour to Costa Rica. So what's a different? So we were on different wavelengths. However, we had a great time. However, I think she needs to have an explanation of better than what I gave her. Yeah, okay, thanks.
You mean it wasn't Costa Rica? I thought that's what it was. I love it.
I think we're all back, right?
Welcome back.
Yes, we're all back.
Okay.
I had a teacher in college who went down to Costa Rica. He went down on a second trip before he realized it wasn't an island.
Oh,
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Now we'd like to get some sharing from the group sessions. The question for sharing with the group is this: what did you learn from this exercise that might be helpful in the future? I'd like to remind all of us about the ground rules on respect, avoiding ridicule, and recognize that we might differ politically in this room. So if you want to make a comment, please raise your hand. We'd like to hear as many people as possible in about 5 minutes. So given the large number of people, we request that you be brief. So again, what did you hear? What did you learn from this exercise that might be helpful in the future? Josephine.
Thank you. I learned about these roles and that it's not always so easy to figure out which role you're in at any given time.
Okay, thank you. Peggy.
I just learned or relearned that I'm not alone. The other two people that I discussed things with, it was just so reassuring in a way to, you think you're all alone with this horrible problem, how to deal, and you hear other people with the same problem just in a different setting. So I'm really grateful to the two people that I spoke with.
Thank you. Joe.
Hi, Joe from South Carolina. I really appreciated being able to identify the roles that I'm playing and how they're not contributing or enabling a free-flowing conversation, which will be helpful, I think, in the future.
Mm-hmm. Tim? You're muted.
Sorry, I had a technical question. And because I'm on both the computer and the phone, so I'm in two groups. And
okay.
Sorry.
Lori.
Hi, I got a good reminder that the person I was thinking of gets their information differently than I do. They are in that information vacuum. So that's always good to keep in mind. I don't know if it will help me do any better, but it's good to keep in mind.
Okay. John. Looks like you're having a problem unmuting. I can't hear you. Oh, okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a comment?
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
All right. I'm sorry to say I didn't learn anything from the breakout because I had this problem with the sound. And I took care to unmute myself before I went into the break room, but the leader, Tim, did not hear me. Some of the others in the group did. Now, I'm going to vent a little bit here, but if activists can learn how not to jump down the rabbit hole of artificial intelligence, we might be able to get something done. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and my time.
Okay. Karen.
I think my partner Myra, she brought out a wonderful point that it's hard to agree on the same facts when you're talking to someone in politics. I don't know why I'm getting feedback, but agreeing on the same facts is tough.
Okay. I'll just take a couple more, then we've got to move on. Paula.
I would just like to say that we were very honored to be with a young lady who's going to be 104. And she has a lot of history. And so she was very, very informative to us about, the politics that she's in with her family. And she's very fortunate not to have too many differences. But that we all have to understand our differences and appreciate them.
Okay, good. So we'll finish up Elizabeth and then Donald, and we'll finish up.
Um, it's what I learned is identifying what my role is in my family in order to effectively approach the other members of my family, find a better approach to intervene to kind of convince them to take a different perspective.
Donald.
What I would say is two things. One is we have to make a decision for ourselves of whether our relationship is more important than our being right. And secondly, we have to prepare for conversation. We don't just get right into it. In this age of truth being perceived as many different things by different people, we have to agree on a starting point where we can agree and then progress from that point.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your contributions. We'll move on now. Now we're going to show you another video with Bill Doherty, this time describing some strategies for dealing with challenging family members.
Some strategies for dealing with challenging family members. Strategy 1, remind yourself that they are not you. They do not have to change for you to feel okay. Darn. I'm sorry, you may want to leave the workshop now. In family therapy language, this is about what we call differentiation. When I can calmly hold my own views, listen to others, and live with differences without cutting off important family relationships. We are living in an era of family cutoffs over politics. And I've been in this work, the family therapy work, for many, many years. I grew up, I lived in the Vietnam War era and the generation gap, and people still did Thanksgiving dinners together. And now we're having people do those cutoffs. And so what this is about is reminding myself I can be okay even if they are very different from me. They do not have to change so that I can feel emotionally okay. A big question that the question was, do you ever consider okay to cut off a family relationship? Yeah, so my own view about political differences, which is what we're talking about here, no. My view. Over politics, never. Now, if you want to talk at the break as a family therapist, can there be abuse in families? Can there be high toxicity that never goes away? It's a different thing. But my own view over politics, I don't think it's a good idea to let what politicians are doing and news media are doing and silos are doing to sever a family relationship. That's my view on it. Okay, strategy number 2. Remind yourself that you are now an adult who can have adult conversations without reliving the past. Nobody can make you regress into your old self, even if they regress. Eleanor Roosevelt is credited with saying, nobody can make you feel bad about yourself without your permission. They can do bad things to you, but they can't make you feel bad about yourself. So in this case, nobody can make me go back into the, you're not the boss of me. Okay, without my agreement on that. Strategy number 3, because family patterns are usually consistent and predictable, you can prepare and practice how to respond differently. This is not your first rodeo with your family. In family therapy language, you can self-regulate in the presence of family emotional tides from the past. This is the beauty and the awful thing about family life is predictability. If your uncle at a certain point or your in-law, if year after year, they predictably go into the same tirade or go after you like the sniper, the odds of them doing it again are pretty high. And so if you go into it with no preparation of how you're going to manage it, but with this idea that maybe this year they won't do it, you were like Charlie Brown and Lucy in the comic strip. You know, the football, every fall, Lucy holds the football and Charlie Brown says, you're going to hold it this year. You're not going to pick it up and I'm going to fall on my behind. No, I won't, Charlie Brown, this year. And then every year she picks it up. It's on me at that point, the 10th year, right? And so you can predict how things are going to go. So I visit various in-laws around the country at different times, and I know how conversations are going to go. And so I prepare. So that's not a surprise. It's not like you're sitting next to somebody on a train who all of a sudden goes into gladiator mode about politics. So that's an advantage that we can prepare. So here's the prime directive. Do not try to change a family member. You can only change yourself. Do not try to change a family member. You can only change yourself.
So, again, the 4 strategies. Remind yourself that they are not you. They do not have to change for you to feel okay. Remind yourself that you're now an adult who can have an adult conversation without reliving the past. Thirdly, you can prepare and practice how to respond differently. And finally, don't try to influence a family member's political views directly. And always,
What's up?
and always remember the prime directive. Do not try to change a family member. You can only change yourself. And if you agree with this prime directive, why is it important? Anybody? Anybody? Why do you think it's important, the family, the prime directive? Joe?
No.
Josephine?
Hello.
Can't change them.
I'm sorry?
The reason you should not try to change them is that you can't.
Okay. Hey, in Idaho?
I would agree with her, with Josephine. The more you try to change them, the more they dig into what they already believe.
Okay. Donald?
I believe that we don't own another person's life or position or insights. We each are entitled to our own opinions, just as we are entitled to our own identities.
Okay. Connie and then Courtney.
Yeah, I guess I don't agree because I believe that if I can change someone's opinion, because I think that what is happening in this world is so horrendously horrible that if I can influence someone's decision to change, I think it's my responsibility. And if it's my family member and we end up at odds, well, at this point, I'm sorry, I don't care anymore. Because you know what? It's too important to try to get someone to believe the way I do. Sorry, that's just my thought. Hello?
Okay, and
Hello.
Courtney?
So I happen to have just graduated with my master's in marriage and family therapy. I was like, oh, it's another MFT. But I do agree with what he was saying. There's a difference with family relationships. The goal is to find a common ground and to find a connection, and preserve it if you can. But so it's true that you can change someone if you can educate them, but it's not a guarantee. And so the goal should be to find common ground and to try to appeal to humanity.
Okay, Peggy, and then Freedom Warrior and Chester, and we'll go on. So, Courtney?
Okay. I have to say that I disagree with the advice that politics is politics and it should never interfere with I mean, this is no longer politics. This is life and death. This is murder. This is immorality. It's atrocities. And if you don't speak up, you're colluding. It's you're colluding with that immorality and just the total lack of humanity. And there's a difference between thinking you can force someone to change and to influence somebody. It's your obligation to speak up from your place of morality and speak your truth. And it's not that you can force them to change, but it's I think it's your moral duty to speak up about what you think is the right thing and the humane thing, and not just say, okay, you have your opinion, I have mine. It's not live and let live anymore. It's live and don't kill. So I think that there are times that you have to speak up and take the consequences and not just go along for the sake of peace at any price, because it's no longer that condition. But the world is exploding, and it's just totally evil.
I don't think that anybody, from our point of view, is saying anything goes, but rather what is the best, first of all, what is the best way of engaging people on the other side?
Yeah.
I remember somebody very wise said, you can't change anybody else. What you can do is change your behavior in a way that might convince them to change, but they have to decide themselves.
Right.
Okay.
You're not shackling them with your opinion. You're just giving what is true to you.
Okay, and Chester, and we'll move on.
As a ex-counselor of parole and probation people, I've had years of trying to influence people, and over the years, I've found it's better to listen, sort of like a Rogerian system. Just listen, discern what the person across the table is saying, try to find some common ground, not necessarily compromising my views, but trying to find some kind of common ground that where we can talk. Now, I live in the first district of Wisconsin, the first congressional district. I'm a Green Party person. I ran for Congress 2 years ago under that party. Now, one of the best friends I have, or let's say a person I'm very friendly with, is Brian Stiles, who is the Republican incumbent. Now, Brian and I have lunch, we talk, and certainly we don't agree hardly on anything, but I find him a likable person. So we don't argue the politics, we simply discuss it.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Just again, review quickly. They don't have to change for you to be okay. Be in the present, not in the past. You can prepare and practice how to respond differently in the next difficult situation. And finally, don't try to change a family member. And remember, there's a difference between trying to change them or trying to get them to change themselves. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carl to talk about dealing with the gladiator.
Thanks, Norman, and thanks everybody for your participation. We're now going to turn to the part of the workshop where we get into specific skills for dealing with the family members that have different roles, but we're going to focus on the gladiator because that generally involves the most complex skills and they do carry over to the other roles. I will point out that we're going to practice with respect to the gladiator, but we won't practice with the other roles. But if you refer at some point to Appendix C in the participant guide, you'll see a lot of different ideas for how to engage with those different types of personalities. So I recommend that to you. Before we start, I want to say something important about protecting boundaries. You can look at part 3 of the participant guide, page 5, if you want to follow along, or just follow the screen. But don't let yourself get baited into a political conversation that's doomed to go poorly, particularly in a group setting when people jump to take sides, or when you're not really in the right frame of mind to use your strategies and your skills. Remember, you get to decide when to engage in a back and forth conversation. So some of the strategies to protect your boundaries are headed off. Let's not go there during dinner, like Bill said in the video, or just before I leave. If you're not ready to do it, to have a conversation, to try to have a conversation, head it off. Deflect, really. Friendly banter. Hey, that was a good one, Uncle Joe. And then change the subject. Those first two are basically, saying you just don't want to get into it and you're trying to protect your boundaries. Now is not the time. And the last one is a serious response. Think about being around the table and someone says something and you say, not everyone around this table agrees with what you just said, but now is not the time to get into it. Maybe you and I can talk about it later. That's a key because what you're going to find is it's best to practice these skills one-on-one before you try to do something in any kind of group. The group setting is just fraught with danger. So you can make progress and you can ultimately have a productive conversation, but start out and maybe even stay one-on-one. Now, as we talked about earlier and Chris mentioned at the outset, we're going to practice on the gladiator, but we're going to use the lap skills. And the lap skills are listen, and I think, boy, I'm looking for him on the page here, but the last person who spoke, talked about the importance of listening.
Yeah.
And then we're going to, then you go to an acknowledge and agree if you can. The pivot, as Chris mentioned, and finally perspective. And this is a methodology, an approach that the whole idea of this is to create an atmosphere, to have a discussion with someone with whom you see things differently. And ultimately to have the opportunity for you to express your different viewpoint and have them listen to you just as you begin the conversation by listening to them. And ultimately, those are the ways that you might find some common ground in terms of values that you have. You might find ways that ultimately influence that individual, but that's the whole process that we're going to go through to give that the best opportunity to occur. So when we talk about listening to understand, this is the key. We all have to turn off our arguing back mindset. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'm beginning to formulate my rebuttal when someone is talking and says something that I disagree with. And when you start to think about what your rebuttals are, you are no longer listening. So this is hard, but that's the key is turning off that, really trying to listen to understand. And as you do that, try to listen to see if you can discover beneath what someone is saying, what their values are and what their emotions are. They may feel very, very strongly. Some of the folks that spoke up a few minutes ago clearly have very, very strong feelings and strong emotions about what's going on. And that came across loud and clear as we listened to, to those folks. Listen for anything that you can agree on. This sometimes can be there's something substantive in the conversation that you can agree with. Other times it can simply be the passion of the importance of the issue. And then resist the temptation to stop listening throughout this process because you're just stereotyping the individual as part of that other group. That other group is, that's just the worst, evil incarnate. They're all the same and they're all horrible. We all have to really resist that temptation on stereotyping if we're going to ultimately have some kind of productive conversation. So just a question, how do you know when you are actively listening to a person expressing their own opinion or belief? Let me just pull down the slides and just take one or two ideas on this because we're running a little bit behind, and so we're going to have to make up some time. But how do you know? Yeah, Leah?
You're muted, Leah.
Yes. I think that there's a very easy way in my mind, or in the people I deal with, if we both listen to the candidate and in particular talk, and then the question that I would ask is, what did you hear? In other words, I hear it one way, they may have heard it another way, and we discuss the candidate indirectly, whether he or she was effective or not. And it's not so much that the person feels that I'm attacking them or not listening to an opinion, but it's a very good start.
Yeah, so you and your partner in that go in with an agreement of what you're going to do, and you know that you're going to have to express to the other person what you heard. So in order to do that, you've really got to actively listen and not start to, come up with your why you disagree, but what you really heard. Thank you. Donald? Still muted, unfortunately. My two of my grandsons are studying American Sign Language. We may need to bring that into the mix here.
Yes, I'm
Beatrice.
unmuted now.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to agree with Leah, and I have a slight corollary to what I think I'm hearing her say, And I think it's important that we check with the other person to see if we've heard what they're saying or they've heard what we're saying. We need some affirmation on what we think we heard.
Yeah, perfect. Maybe one more, Beatrice, and then we'll go on.
Yes, I was pretty much going to say the same thing Donald said, is to share back, to see if I really get not only the words, but whatever it is they're trying to convey. Do they really get that I heard them?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And actually, you all are so wonderful here. You have previewed right where we're going. And we're going to go on to the next part of the lab skills, but it's the acknowledge and agree if you can find something in what was said, that particular skill. So what we're going to do is, well, let me just kind of restate what you all said. The benefit of doing this is, number one, the individual hears when you come with an acknowledgement and any kind of agreement that you can, if that's possible, the individual who has spoken begins to feel like they, in fact, are being listened to, they're being heard. And it also gives a chance to clarify any kind of miscommunication, just what was said. So you get on the same page that you've really heard that individual, and that individual understands, knows that he or she has been heard. And that is the key part of trying to get to these first two steps of listening and then acknowledging, because you're, again, trying to set up that environment where you're going to ultimately have a chance to be listened to yourself. Okay. Norman and I are going to do a demonstration on this, and then we're going to ask you to take a scenario and do your own acknowledgement and agree. Okay. So you could follow along with this at page 12 of the participant guide, Appendix A, or you can just listen, and we're going to go through this. So, Norman, why don't you start?
Okay.
And Norman is a conservative. Norman is a conservative here, and I'm going to be trying to push back on him.
Okay. Carl, we're going to lose our freedoms if the liberals have their way. They're mostly socialists these days, even if they won't admit it. They're all about big government running the whole country. I can't believe you could support them.
So, Norman, for you, it looks like most Democrats are going down the path of socialism, right? So, question, I mean, not really a question here. That was the acknowledgement skill. I am trying to show Norman that I've heard him and I've acknowledged something that he said. Not everything, but something in his initial comments. And then Norman says, I say, for you, it looks like most Democrats are going down the path of socialism. Then Norman?
Right you are. Some of them are even admitting they're socialists.
Yeah, some Democratic leaders are using that word. I don't agree with socialism myself, but knowing where you're come from politically, I can see why you are upset. So here, I'm now trying to find some opportunity to agree. I can see why you're upset, Norman. And if you can do that, if you can build that into this second step, acknowledge and find something to agree, then that's fantastic.
Carl, and one thing that's very important, acknowledging what the other person is saying is not agreeing with them necessarily. It just means that you are checking to see whether or not you have heard them properly.
Yeah, that's important. When I say acknowledge and slash agree, it's not that you agree with everything that they're saying and their underlying position on the particular issue, but you're trying to find something that you can agree upon as common ground before you go forward in the conversation, if you can. If you can't, it's fine to not do that, and just find an acknowledgement so that they know that they've been heard. So now we are going to ask you all to take some time to write an acknowledgement statement around these two gladiator scripts. You can choose one. Try to choose the one that is, that you would have more trouble with. The one that disagrees with your position the most. And I'm going to read the red one, and Norman's going to read the blue, and then we're going to ask you to take a couple moments and write out word for word your acknowledgement, and if you can find something to agree, your acknowledgement slash agree statement, if you are in a conversation with this person. So I'll read the red gladiator script. I'm as upset as anybody about gun violence, but it's bad people or crazy people, not guns, that are murdering people. No one should take away my right to own a gun because a small number of people are misusing theirs. We have to respect the Constitution. Liberals are being dishonest about gun control. They know that taking away people's guns is not the answer because the bad guys will always find a way to get a weapon. Democrats are playing on the public's ignorance and fears every time there's a mass shooting. It makes me furious.
Okay, here's the blue gladiator prompt. These mass shootings must stop. We have more guns than people in this country, and people are allowed to own weapons of war. The conservatives are completely brainwashed or controlled by the NRA and refuse to look at the simple reality that limiting access to guns reduces gun violence and suicides. Why can't we be like other countries that limit guns to a few people who need them? I'll tell you why. Republicans stir up fears that the government is going to start by taking away guns and then go after you and your other freedoms. It's crazy thinking.
So these are dialogues of very polarizing speakers, okay? So put yourself in the position that you're on the other side of whichever one of these you want to choose. And now I'm going to ask you to take a couple minutes to write out word for word what you would say in it can be just one sentence or one or two sentences. And you don't have to, you don't have to respond to everything that's in these things because these are long statements. But I'm going to ask you to go ahead and write out your acknowledgement statement. We'll give you 2 minutes to do that, and then we're going to put you back in your breakout to share what you've written. Okay? Everyone okay with understanding that? Okay, I'm starting the clock.
I'm sorry, I don't even see where that's written.
I'm sorry?
I don't see where that's written. Is that the script?
Oh, here, I'll put it back up for you.
Oh, I was looking at my own paper.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Okay, I see now.
okay. It should be right in the guide as well.
Page 6 of the participant guide.
about another half minute. Okay. So we're going to put you back into your breakout group. This is going to be short, just a total of 6 minutes. So just take a couple of minutes each to read your acknowledgement and time permitting, just explain what you were trying to do with it and give everyone a chance to do that. And then we'll come back in and we'll do some debrief. Abe, are you ready? Okay, off you go.
Here we are.
Well, I can explain what happened with those two people who were pretty annoyed last time. Especially if you have this larger group, what happens sometimes is people will come on with two different devices. And Zoom has no way of knowing if two devices are the same person. So they'll get assigned to different rooms. And the guy who was complaining has nothing to do with AI, but he was complaining. He said one person could hear me, the other person couldn't. Well, I looked, and he was in the room with one of that other guy's devices. And the guy was probably talking in the other room. So he was in a room with somebody who was not actually, did not have audio in his room. So that's why he was experiencing that one person could hear him and the other person can't.
And then Abe, do you see that Bob is in our
Yeah, he's
main
stuck.
room? Is he stuck?
He
Okay.
has been assigned to room 8, and
Okay.
hopefully in about 20 or 30 seconds he'll finally go over there. But there's nothing we can do to force him
Unstuck him.
over.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed as they were going into breakout rooms, and it could be because some people have dropped off the call as it gets
Yes.
later, it looked like some rooms might only have one person in it. So
There
as you're
should be
waiting,
only one person, one room with one person, and that's the one that you said was
was my
not
note taker?
responding.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Everything else, yeah, a lot of people have left, so we're down to 2 people in many of these
In some
rooms.
rooms. Okay. All right. All
Okay, it
right.
looks like Bob finally made it.
Good.
Persistent.
It looks like one room did lose somebody though. I'm gonna have to move Janet Hastings.
You do have a person in the waiting room right now. I think
Yeah,
that's
we've been putting a notice in there because once the workshop gets beyond a certain point when we do the breakout rooms, we've been telling them to join the YouTube channel, but I didn't see somebody pop in. So as soon as I see someone pop in, I put that notification up. So you're seeing somebody?
Yeah.
Or are
Yes.
you seeing them?
It's the same person.
Oh, is it the same person? Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen her popping back and forth. I don't know whether she's
Yeah, so
losing
we have a
connection.
note in there that says if their internet dropped to let us let us know in the chat, and then we would let them back in, and I've done that for at
Well,
least one
yeah,
person.
this is Carrie
Okay.
Terrazino or something. Her name keeps popping up.
She's been in the waiting room for a long time. I think she was the one we were saying we were going to direct her to YouTube.
Yeah, I have been posting it. I
Yeah,
just
that's
didn't
part
realize
of the
that she was
note.
back in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll repost it. I'm there now.
We do have 20 people that have been have viewed or are viewing the
Okay.
video right now.
Okay, so those are some of the folks that joined in
Yeah,
a little bit later.
a couple people have commented there too. But
Okay, good.
I'm there,
Yeah.
just keeping an eye on it.
Abe, I think we won't do any more breakouts.
Okay.
We need to pick up a little bit of time, and that'll allow us to do it, I think.
How are we doing on time, Carl?
It's 8:32 right now.
We're supposed to be through this one hold on. We're supposed to be through this one at 8:25, but that's after the debrief, so we're about 10 minutes behind maybe. And we can make that up. Although once they start participating, the extra hands go up. That's where it gets the balance gets tricky. So, but I think we can work that. We'll do participation here, take a few, and then we'll take a short break, a stand up and walk around your desk type break, 2 minutes or so, and then we'll jump back in.
I have to say, having done this workshop before, this was one of my favorite workshops with Braver Angels. Yeah.
Good.
We got into some really good conversations with our small groups, when we were doing it in the church. It was good.
Okay, they're about to come back.
All right. Oh.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Nice to have you. I would just love for some who want to share what they wrote as their acknowledgement, agree response to put up your hand and we'll call on you. And so I see Tim and then Ellen. Tim?
Yeah, I didn't actually have a chance to write it down as usual. I was slow on reacting to that, but I do. I think I get it. And basically, you will sum up, do a summation, and trying to listen closely and sum up what you think the person's saying. And I think I would start it off with, "It sounds like blah blah blah," and it sounds like you think blah blah blah. And just real quickly, there's an FBI negotiator who uses just that simple statement of something that sounds like, and then just say what you think they said. And again, just listen.
Yep, I think that can work. I think you got to be, with all of this, remember back to the very first video with the mom and the daughter, and you saw the body language that was involved in that. There's body language and there's tone of voice. And so, Tim, on the one hand, totally agree. Hey, it sounds like this is what you're saying. That's very engaging. Another way of saying it, well, it sounds to me like this is what you're saying. And so your tone of voice can be very different in terms of whether you're creating an approachable environment, an engaging environment to go on and have that productive conversation, or putting my defenses up as I'm listening to it. So that's the only point I would make there. Ellen and then Connie.
Well, I had a lot of difficulty with this. My alma mater is Virginia Tech, so I have strong emotion, about gun violence.
Yeah.
But so I would be the blue gladiator. The best I could come up with was responding to the red gladiator is that well, I can see you're upset about gun violence too. And I was looking up at the examples, and I might say it is a mess. It's that's about the best I could do. But when Deatrice and I were talking, I just wanted to bring this up. We thought, wouldn't this be a wonderful exercise? For a Braver Angels. I've been in a couple of Braver Angels workshops, but to have a group of people, half who agree with red and half who agree with blue, and it could take 30 minutes to an hour, but to see what solution they come up with. So I just wanted to share that because I thought that was a great idea we came up with.
Yeah, I love that. And it's totally in the spirit of what we're talking about tonight, right? It's in the spirit of trying to engage, understand each other's point of view, seeing if there's some element of common ground there, starting from high level values that you can ultimately agree on some policy or some solution for going forward. So perfect. Thank you. Connie? And then
Okay, there
Leah.
was, yeah, one person in our group, was it Joe? No, I can't remember, said something that was, it just hit me in terms of, she was agreeing and the way she said it, but I can't say it. So do you remember, Joe, was it you, what you said?
Yeah, I see Joe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe.
I said, I do agree with you that it is a small number of people that are misusing guns. But I also do think that you agree with me that the people who can be trusted with
That
guns
was it.
should be allowed to have one.
Yeah, that hit me as like a really good place to start a conversation. So I just thought that was great. Anyway.
So read the whole thing again, Joe. Are there two agreements, or are you trying to get an agreement from the other person versus simply acknowledging something that they have said and you're agreeing with it?
Yes, the first sentence was an agreement, and the second sentence was both. I was trying to also get them to agree with me,
Yeah.
and I was agreeing with them.
Yeah. So this is where we got to be careful because it's important to methodically go through the steps and not get ahead of ourselves in terms of either trying to get something out of the other person to agree or offering your perspective too early. So I would just say better to do the first part of that and then wait for the second part later where you can express your perspective. We're going to get to that. This is the hardest thing about this because we're all eager to put our perspective in. And I'm not the therapist here, but what I'm learning from listening to the therapists is it's really important to set the stage for ultimately having a chance to get your perspective in and having it be fairly listened to by the other side. Okay, that's the only thing I would say there. One last one, Leah. Here we go.
Did you call on me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sweet girl.
But again, I found in those two statements one that challenged the other group in the Red Gladiator when they say that liberals are being dishonest about gun control. We have 50 people out here who may or may not agree on one side or the other. But you can't make a statement that all of us feel exactly the same, even though they they have the same opinion about pro or against gun control.
So here's what I would say about this one, Leah. I would say that you want to make that point at some point. That's your perspective in
Yes.
reacting to this. And what we're trying to do is give you the opportunity to make that point, but make it at a point where it will be really listened to by the other side. Remember, because these are polarizing statements that are being made, and you're trying to ultimately engage in a conversation. And so if you immediately hit me, if I'm the one who's saying this, with that, our conversation is going to go at loggerheads. And so
Well,
that's why it's important to listen to the statement first, try to acknowledge what the statement is saying. So in that case, you could say, so I hear what you're saying, or what you're concerned about is that liberals believe this way. Have I got you right? End it right there.
yeah,
That's the acknowledgement, possible agreement. You don't have to do the agreement. Does that make sense?
yes.
Great.
I took it from the other way. What do
Yes.
I have to respond to? And
Yeah.
I felt in one, when they said that liberals are dishonest about gun control, and on the other side, conservatives are brainwashed. You're going nowhere with those two statements, even though they're opposites.
Right. But this is the point, Leah. Someone is going to confront you with that statement, the one that is, that you totally disagree with, or both of them. You disagree with both of them, right? In some
Yes,
in some respects.
yes,
But you have to hold off on coming back with your disagreement in order for this process to work. So the first step in this is just listening to what they say. Let them rant, acknowledge something in their statement so that they know that they've been heard. And that's all we're doing right here at this step. And you will get your chance, I promise you, after the break and when we come back after the next two steps. So the important thing is go through methodically and with patience the 4 steps. And we've covered the first 2, and make sure you don't go beyond what's in each of those first 2 steps. Okay?
the trouble is that I don't put down in writing what I do in person. When I'm in a group meeting, I listen to as many of the points of view as come out. I'm one of the last speakers to talk on a subject. Then I have an idea of where they're going and how to address it. And I think that's what a lot of people have to learn to do, is not be the first one to respond and not have heard the differences in opinions.
Okay, thank you. One of the points that we want to make from this, in terms of asking you to actually physically write down what you would say, is it's really hard on the spur of the moment to come up with those kind of acknowledgement statements. And this gives you a chance to practice it in, with extra time. Leah, the way you practice it is you wait until the end of, a length of time. So you've thought about it enough that now you would be in a position to make your statement. But with that, let's take a short break. And by this, I mean like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. But just stand up if you can and would like to stretch a little bit, and then we'll continue the workshop. Not seeing lots of people standing up to your it's calisthenics. Must be just an eagerness to get going, huh? Oh, I think Bill stood up. There you go.
Boy, it's been for too long.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to walk over to the refrigerator.
Excellent. We'll wait for Bill to return from the refrigerator.
That could be a while.
Oh, okay. That's why you're off screen. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start in again because we want to get you out of here on time, and we've got quite a bit left to do, but we're going to streamline some of it. We're now going to spend a second on the third element of this four-step process, and that is the pivot step. Pivot and wait. And what's interesting about this is I never had heard about this. And I don't know if, I think maybe the therapists know this quite well, but a lot of us, this is brand new because you'd think that this is the time you've listened, you've acknowledged, and now it's time for you to, to make your, offer your perspective. But what we're told is to do a pivot. And it basically signals that you are about to offer a different perspective, but it doesn't introduce that perspective per se in substance. And if there's a way to do this by coupling it with some kind of personal experience, then that makes it an even more elegant pivot. So, for example, you've gone through your listening, you've acknowledged, and if you can find something you agree, and then you say, this issue is important to me too. Something I've lived with in my whole career. And I'd like to say where I'm coming from. Can I give you my thoughts? Now you can see with that kind of statement as a pivot, it foreshadows that you're going to say something that's contrary to what you've heard, but it's just almost asking for permission to go that next step. And you're looking for some kind of receptiveness in the other person to signal that they're okay. And maybe a nonverbal or verbal, but they're okay with you offering your perspective. If they say no, then you may have to go back and go through another round of the acknowledgement statements. And if they keep saying no, and we'll get to this later, it's just not the time to try to press and go forward. But the pivot statement, it kind of provides a turn signal, like in a car, right? It tells the person you're about to turn, and you're about to go in a different direction. So say something that they may not agree with, and they can begin to shift their attention and listen, hopefully listen more effectively. So it creates a space in the conversation for the fourth step, for your perspective to be heard. So I'm going to ask you to think about a pivot statement that you might make. You've written your acknowledgement, you listened, you've written your acknowledgement. Can anyone come up with a pivot statement that they would offer up? Tim has a hand up, but he's had a hand up. So Tim, are you there?
I'm here, but I don't have a pivot statement ready.
Okay. Donald. Oh, sorry, you're muted. There you go.
There we go. Somebody teach this old man how to use this new equipment. Where's my 13-year-old? Let me say, okay. I hear what you're saying about this issue, and I think you've been very kind in listening to what I have to say about it. But I wonder this, is it possible that there's some alternatives we haven't considered already? That's it.
So think about the person who is the polarizer, has gone through their rants. You've listened, and you want to offer your perspective. What happens to my blood pressure with that particular pivot? To me, I'm just going to tell you everything's personal, and that may work perfectly with an individual that you're having a discussion with. For me, it's like, okay, you've had your say, now it's my turn. And that starts to create the blood pressure to flow again. But if you said, I've heard what you've said, and you've gone through your acknowledgement and agreement. You said just something as simple. I've been thinking a lot about this myself. Can I share my ideas with you?
Okay.
It's a little bit milder, right, Donald? It's not quite. I mean, to me, it makes it a little bit less confrontational at that point. So say yours again, and let's all listen to it and see if you are on the other side, what happens to your blood pressure.
Okay. And I said, I hear what you're saying about this issue, and you've listened to what I've had to say about it, but I wonder if there aren't some other considerations that we could have.
Okay. I mean, that to me was a little bit milder. You haven't had a chance to. You
Okay,
haven't had a chance to say your thing. You've only, so I've heard what you've said, and I would almost stay away from I've listened to what you said, because that almost is I've listened to you, now you listen to me, you son of a gun. So I've heard what you've said. Then the end of it was I wonder if there's some other perspectives or other ideas about this. Can I share an idea with you? That would be a pretty good pivot. Let's take a couple more, and then we can, we can evaluate this. Josephine?
Thank you. So I have some ideas about how mass shootings need to be addressed, and we agree that those need to be addressed. Can I say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, good. And you put an agreement in there too, so right. Yeah, John?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. You this is in relation to the the red gladiator. Um, and if crazy people are the ones that are responsible for the gun violence, is there something we can do about there being so many great crazy people who are inclined to do this kind of violent this type of gun violence? And that pivots to discussion of mental health, um, as well as better screening of gun registration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that works. I think one of the things to just sort of keep in mind is where we're trying to get to is for you to be able to offer your viewpoint. And it sounds like what you want to be able to do at this point is talk a little bit about mental health
Mhm.
and that aspect. So that the way you did it may be one way to get there. Another way to get there might be you know, just say again right at the very beginning of what you said.
Okay. Well, I think I said if crazy people
Yeah.
are responsible for gun violence, is there something that we can do for crazy people so that they're less inclined to
to
act out?
So if crazy people are the ones who are prone to gun violence, I've got an idea about how we might deal with that. Can I share it with you? Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
I would just try to make, I think the point I'm trying to make here is to make the pivot as simple as possible and to make it somehow saying, I've been thinking about this, I've read about this a lot. Can I share my views? Or would you be interested in hearing this? And all you're trying to do is set that conversation up where that person is going to say, yeah, okay. And now they're going to listen, hopefully, the same way you listened, to them at the beginning. And that's where you want to go, because then you can finally offer your perspective. So I'm not trying to overly critique some of these things because they could all work perfectly. I mean, and you have to make that determination with the individual. The purpose of the pivot is to simply set the stage for you finally to be able to offer your perspective. And that's where we're going now. So when you get to the perspective, now you have a chance, if you want to take this on with a completely different 180-degree position on something, you have the chance to do it. Okay? You have the chance now to say how you feel personally about that particular issue or what has been said. And the key to this is to use what we call I statements. So when you talk about this, you talk about this is how I see it versus this is how Republicans see it, or this is how Democrats see it, or this is how my group sees it. No one can disagree with you. You cannot be wrong if what you are saying is, this is how I feel. And so you're only speaking for yourself. And that's a way of sharing a perspective that will be listened to versus trying to say, we all think this way or you all think that way. Avoid labeling, you know, all you Republicans or you guys are all, you're all wacko. You know, those kinds of things. To the extent you can clarify and you can agree and offer your perspective. These are all the things that you've already done, but you can acknowledge what's been said and bridge from that into your own. And then, of course, don't get hooked by baiting questions. So if a question says, can't you see that all the people on your side have been duped by the liberal conservative media? You would ignore it. And you would just simply say, what I'm saying is, and off you go. So Norman and I are going to read through a script on this. This is, let me find it. It's again in Appendix A on page 12, and you could follow along with us. And Norman, let's start with this. I'm going to say, okay, so Norman, let's read this whole thing, okay? And so you can listen for the listening, acknowledge, pivot, and now I'm going to get into perspective. So Norman, you start with, we're going to lose our freedoms.
I'm trying to find out where you are.
Oh, page 12 of the guide.
Oh, let me get that.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to lose our freedoms if the liberals have their way. They're mostly socialists these days, even if they won't admit it. They're all about big government running the whole country. I can't believe you can support them.
So Norman, for you, it looks like most Democrats are going down the path of socialism.
Like you are. Some of them even admit they're socialists.
Yeah, some Democratic leaders are using that word. I don't agree with socialism myself, but knowing where you come from politically, I can see why you're upset.
Yeah, there'll be no stopping big government if the Democrats take over.
I have my thoughts about where most liberals like me are at with socialism. Can I mention what I'm thinking?
I guess, but it won't change my mind.
Norman, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'd just like to be able to say what's on my mind. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, and now I go into my perspective. Let me be clear. And listen for the I statements. I'm not a socialist, which for me means that the government controls the economy and everyone works for the government. I think that would be a disaster, as has been true whenever true socialism has been tried in other countries. When some Democrats talk about democratic socialism, they mean a mainly capitalist economy and a strong social safety net. That's what I want and what I think most liberals want too.
Well, if that's the case, why do you want so much government regulation of the economy? It's socialism by another name.
I hear you on government regulation, and I agree that there should only be just enough regulation and not too much. Although we may disagree about what's necessary regulation and what is too much. Maybe we should talk about specific examples of regulation at another date. Okay. So What I'd love for you to do is to take a stab at writing a short perspective statement with respect to um, the dialogue that, the gun violence dialogue. So those of you who have, you've written your acknowledgement, you've written your pivot, and now it's your time to make a couple of points about how you feel. You don't have to write the entire thing out like Norman and I just went through in that dialogue, but just jot down a couple of points that you would say, even in outline form, as finally introducing your perspective. And just give you a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll share them. And I appreciate the brave souls who are going through this and giving it a whirl. This is not easy. Anyone have a perspective statement or a couple of bullet points that they've written down? Josephine and then Connie?
So, yeah, I'm thinking of an actual person in my short perspective statement. It's true. I don't know why you decided to buy a pistol, and I'm curious about what your reason for that is. I doubt you would misuse your gun, but I'm sure you can imagine some people who would.
So you're actually, you have the individual in mind and he or she has a gun?
Yes, they just bought a pistol recently.
Yeah. So this is you've done your pivot, but really you're asking for more information from that individual, right? Versus your own perspective on it, which is totally fine. It's another way to keep the conversation going, right? And showing interest and true interest of being curious as to why they bought that gun and why they felt that was necessary. So that is one way to keep the conversation going. And you could lead into um, another opportunity for you then, having heard that person and showing that you've heard them, to offer your own perspective, right? That, well, I understand why you did that, and but just for me, I'm not sure I could ever do that. Right? And you can have a good conversation because they might come back and say, yeah, I struggled with this myself. It's been a while before I did it. So that's a great way of continuing the conversation, which is the goal. Connie, did you have another?
Yeah, and mine, I guess it was kind of similar, because it asked a question. So I said, our country has the most gun deaths per person in the world. I don't know why. What do you think we should do to make sure our children stay safe?
Yeah. In a sense, you're kind of understating not directly stating your viewpoint, right? Your perspective. But you're outlining that I really feel there's a problem here, especially about keeping our kids safe. Can we talk about that? Or do you have some ideas about how to do that? So yeah, again, it achieves the goal, right, of what we're talking about of trying to continue the conversation. Beatrice?
Audio. Yes, this is good. I appreciate the opportunity to practice. I put from the last time, I can understand your point on using fear tactics to get people to do something, but it'd be great to be able to listen to one another. And I would like to share what I see about the gun situation. Are you open to hearing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, particularly that last point was a beautiful pivot, right?
Yes.
Beautiful pivot. And then now, once you've said, and then the person says, "Yeah, I'm interested in hearing." Now you have a chance to write your perspective, to offer your perspective, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
One more, John.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think we both agree that there are too many crazy people and perhaps too many guns in circulation that people can get their hands on. There are ways that have had some success in reducing the number of guns in circulation. Would you like to hear what I have in mind?
Yeah. Yeah. Then you can, so that's got a pivot in there, right? Would you like to hear what I have in mind?
Mm.
And now you can, and I say yes, John. I absolutely want to hear. And now you say what you have in mind, and you say it in a way of, here's what I've seen or I've read about that's worked in other places, and then off you go, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, nice. Okay, those are some great statements, and really got to the heart of what we're trying to accomplish. Is someone starts off in a very polarizing kind of way, or not. They're just expressing a viewpoint that's quite contrary to yours, and you want to have ultimately a conversation with them where you can offer your own perspective that's different. What process do you go through to give you the best chance of that being successful versus just going off the rails and that's it, right? So that's the beauty of the lap skills and everything that you all did in terms of practicing them. So we're almost through here. So we're going to just kind of soldier on. But let me mention to you that in that participant guide, there are additional demos that Norman and I would do. We're not going to do them, but I would really encourage you to look at them because they are demos for the exit skills, et cetera. But sometimes it's not going well. And or sometimes you have it starts well, you have a short conversation, and it's best to stop with a short one that still is positive and look for ways to disengage. So, But if all you're getting, as hard as you try, is a lecture or an attack, then exit the conversation. Okay, it looks like we see this one very differently. Maybe we should leave it at that for now. I'll think about what you said. That last thing is something that could be a bridge to a future discussion because you're showing that you're open to thinking about what they've said. And, it maybe set the stage for the future, but not at this point. It's not going to be productive. Again, the other person may say, no, I want to talk about it now, right? And they keep going. Well, listen politely, and then you just have to disengage. Okay, I've got it. I hear what you're saying. Let's move on. If, on the other hand, the conversation goes better than you expected, express appreciation and something along, I appreciated that we had a chance to discuss this in a really civil way. That doesn't happen very often these days. So I appreciate that. And that's setting the stage for a continued conversation. Sometimes in those first two kinds of responses that you're getting from the other side, you just have to physically leave. If you're on Zoom, you can say, oh, I've got another meeting I've got to go to, sorry, we'll take this up later. Or you just physically move into another room. Okay, we're not going to demonstrate the exit skills, but it's on page 13 of the participant guide. Okay, Norman, I think we're going to do. Oh no, hold on. Yeah, Norman, I think we're back to you on slide 38, strategies for navigating family group discussions.
Yeah. Well, let me just, okay. Up to this point, we've been discussing how to engage with the gladiator. There's content, as Carl said, on engaging with the other roles, defender, sniper, peacemaker, and bystander in Appendix C, page 14, at the end of the participant guide. Now we'll discuss how to navigate family group discussions. There are three primary strategies. First, don't engage. As we said before, you do not have to engage in political conversations. In family groups, it's generally best to avoid political conversations when you are outnumbered because you can't influence group dynamics as you might with a one-to-one communication. Next, people in groups are more often reactive than they are individually. And then emotional contagion spreads from the most anxious or angry person. So as mentioned before, family groups have the weight of history, loyalties, and hard-to-change roles. When there's another politically similar person in the group, you can't control how they behave, and reactions to them can carry over to you. So if you're going to do it, engage productively. Avoid being defensive or counterattacking or being instructive. Finally, engage with the acknowledgement that it's from your unique perspective. This is my view. This is my story. I find myself wondering if, and be willing to let go without anyone agreeing or even being curious about what you're saying. So looking at those strategies now, there are 4 skills you can use when implementing your engagement strategy. First, maintain composure. Remember to breathe. That's really important. Try either emotionally neutrality, as if they're discussing an uninteresting topic that you hope they will move on from soon, or a curious stance. Decide to listen and learn something here. And you can see it as an opportunity to practice new skills. So after maintaining composure, don't take the bait. You can head it off by saying something like, let's not go there, or I'd rather focus on this dessert instead. Or it could be friendly banter. Nice try, I'm not taking the bait. If still pressed, be direct and clear. Let me be clear, I'm not going to discuss this right now. Let's move on. So in that way, you're setting boundaries. You can also speak up productively. Let go of winning an argument or changing minds. This will help you speak in a moderate tone of voice. Use I statements, not you statements. As Carl said, nobody can argue with you if you talk about how you're feeling or how you see things. So you could say, on my end, I see it this way, versus you people are wrong about. If necessary, acknowledge that you're in the minority in this group. I'm realized I'm the odd one out on the last election. Read the group. If no one seems interested in your viewpoint, don't repeat or elaborate it. And if you want to object to the tone of conversation, note your dissent without attacking. I just want to say that not everyone around this table sees name your issue that way. Don't feel you have to elaborate if the atmosphere is tense. If necessary, you may have to withdraw, but without drama. Be ready to stop sharing at any point. Note differences and suggest to stop. I see that others see this very differently. That's okay with me. Can we move on? If pressed in a non-constructive way, end the conversation. I've said that I don't want to continue to discuss this, and I'm done. Please pass me the water. If necessary, we talked about the exit skills. But if you do that, no parting shots or drama. And finally, preventing future challenges. If there's a ringleader of the group who often goes after you, try to engage that person separately at another time to see if you can use your one-on-one skills to build a bridge. At the end of hopefully a constructive conversation with this person, you could add that it went better one-on-one than in the group. So at this point, we'll take a little bit of reflection and sharing on strategies and skills for navigating family group conversations. Take a couple of minutes to reflect on this question. How will these strategies and skills be helpful for you to determine whether to engage with the family group? And if so, how? And again, there's space for your comments at the bottom of the strategy table on page 9 of your participant guide. So let's take 2 minutes for you to think about that. Again, the question is, how will these strategies and skills be helpful to you to determine whether to engage with a family group, and if so, how? So,
Yeah,
Carl,
Norman, let's just take 1 minute, and if anyone has some thoughts, we can share them, and then we'll wrap up.
okay.
I'd just say there's a lot of great information in that participant guide. And so it's a great reference document to, to study and reflect on. Josephine?
Um, um, just listening is an underrated skill. That's my my big takeaway.
Yeah, totally.
We'll get to the takeaways in just a minute. Okay, would anyone like to share their response to that question? Remember, the question is, how will these strategies and skills be helpful for you to determine whether to engage with the family group, and if so, how? Anybody? I know it's getting late. Well,
Yeah, I think there's son,
Joe.
Joe.
Well, I have a situation in my family where we have a group chat, and someone in the family in the group chat just said, because my family lives in Minneapolis area, Minnesota, they said, I feel so badly about the woman who was shot today. And he was just really expressing his sadness for that. And someone responded back and said, hey, I thought we decided we weren't going to make this group chat political. My response, I thought of a response. I didn't send it, but my response would have been, I didn't think compassion was political. I don't know how to handle a situation like that. What would you have done, Carl?
I think to me that almost seems like you just let it stay there. Because when you come back with the comment about compassion, which is totally true, it's just going to escalate it. And you're in a group, right? So maybe you chat with that individual per se, right? And try and do it that way, and say, can we chat about this? And do it one-on-one, because it's just going to get into a little bit of a food fight.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Carl,
Yeah.
I'd make one amendment to that. I think that chat may not be the best way of communicating. A phone call would be, because you're having you somehow a chat. There's something in between the two of you.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I said, can we chat about it, I didn't mean a Zoom chat.
Okay.
But you have, I mean, that's how you're communicating with this thing. Norman's, it's better can we talk about this at some point? And then it gives you the chance for the one-on-one. And I think a lot of Norman's points about doing things in a group, it's really fraught with, all sorts of ways for it to go wrong. And keeping these things more one-on-one wherever you can is helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bill?
Yes.
You have your hand up.
I did. I just can't. Oh, I couldn't see myself because I was up the top. I have a great desire to actually have conversations around dinner tables that include what's going on in the world these days. I kind of remember a time when we could do that and we could all be upset about a war. We could talk about things, and now it's like lightning strikes if you start to bring it up. So I really have enjoyed tonight because many of these things are positioning. It's an effort to try to get back to a normalcy if that does exist. And I hope it does. Um, and I think I've heard the word several times, polarizing. I think we've just gotten so polarized that we fire back when somebody's on the other side. And if we, I'm saying me, who tends to be that guy that tosses the hand grenade into the middle of the room and then lets it go off and dives for cover. Maybe if I don't do that, maybe if I try to find that way to use some of these techniques to allow people to around that table to express their feelings, maybe not their political instincts, then boy, we have achieved a whole bunch. Um, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what was going through my mind when you asked the question.
Bill, in essence, what you're talking about is you're modeling the behavior that you would like others to adopt.
Well, I have to change mine first, but yes.
Well, I wonder if one way of doing it more in a group is getting some kind of buy-in at the front end. Hey, I'd really like to talk about something like this if people are interested. But remember oh God, what was it? The rule, the prime directive, right? Remember the prime directive, and put that out there. I'm not here. I don't want us to have a discussion where we're trying to convince one another. I'd love to have a discussion where we can, um, just talk about how we each feel and we're curious about it and just see where that goes. But putting it off the table of, um, convincing, trying to persuade someone that they're wrong. Beatrice, as I think our last one.
I appreciate you calling me at this point because Carl, you kind of answered my question. I really appreciate that because I don't have family members that are like on the opposite sides of the political spectrum, but we really don't talk about our feelings and our emotions that we're experiencing right now during this time. So even though we may be all on the same, political side, we're still in different places. And so it'd be nice to, just like you said, to have that, I think you call it the primer.
The prime directive.
The prime directive. And just have that. And then just to have us to just kind of, when we get together, to just share our thoughts and then listen. And
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful for us just in our emotional well-being. Thank you.
One thing that I find for me a lot of times, I'm the red leaning co-chair of Brave Rangers Central Texas, okay? And most of my family is not. And when I am sort of confronted, if you will, quote unquote, with, oh, those, the Trump guys did this, or, something happened on that side, on your side. I kind of, from time to time, I say, I wonder how what's the real reason behind that? Could someone in good faith have a reason for supporting that position? And it becomes almost a hypothetical, right? It takes it away from a personal, but it is trying to inject. Is there good are is there a good faith argument to support that, even if you disagree with it, or even if I disagree with it? It's a curiosity versus, and it's a little bit of a fact finding, right? To see what is it, but it doesn't write off 77 million voters who voted for Republican for president all at one time. Okay, we're basically done. Let me just pull this up real quick and
Oh.
so wrapping up, I would love for you to do an evaluation if you can. We won't take time here, but you see the QR code, and in your chat there's the link. So if you care to do that, we'd appreciate it. We learn a lot and we adjust things because of feedback. I think I want to make sure that we thank people. So we at Braver Angel Central Texas always want to thank the Sumners Foundation, which provides us some funding to do not only online workshops, but also in-person workshops and travel and so forth to do those. And obviously, I'm going to get it right this time for the first time because Chris has instructed me. The Northwest suburbs organizing for action.
Yay! You got it.
I all the other times I said organizing for all, but I think they do both, so they're fair enough. Okay, and obviously Dr. Chris Weldy and Vision Forward, our whole workshop team, Laura, who is great, and
Laura,
Abe
yeah.
behind the scenes, and just all of you for participating, and especially for those of you who hung to the bitter end. So thank you for that. And I think at that point, just if anyone has any final comments that you'd like to share about what you're taking away from this, or anything in a word or two, we're happy to hear it.
While we're waiting, see if there's anybody, Carl, again, just another fantastic workshop. Really appreciate. I've taken this twice now, but I learned something new each time, and so I appreciate you and the team. And behind the scenes, Bill and Laura, thank you for your support of getting this off the ground. And it looks like Deetris has her hand up.
Okay.
You talked about other presentations or how, I don't even know, I think I got it from the Northwest. How would I know about future events? Are they all done through this organization? The Northwest.
So there's two organizations, or maybe three organizations involved. Speaking for Braver Angels, let me just say that you'll get these slides, okay? So you don't have to take this down, but there's a couple of things. There's a whole lot of different things that you can get to. Let me move this out of the way. Learn about Braver Angels, and there's a lot of different workshops that are done. They're done by national groups, and they're done by local groups like ours. And the one that's really interesting now is if you become a member of Braver Angels for the enormous sum of $12, they've put together this dojo, the depolarization dojo, and it gives you, with AI, it gives you different personalities that you can interact with. So you can have a conversation, but it's, very safe because it's just an AI thing. And they give you suggestions when you have a comment back. So it's one of the, one of the new things coming obviously with AI, and it's Braver Angels is embracing it as right now it's kind of a pilot. So it's the only way to get it is to to join Braver Angels and to start playing with it. But that's for us. You can go to braverangels.org to get the national stuff, or Braver Angels Central Texas. We'll send you that information as well. And then Chris, you and Bill want to talk about.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so the national organization, just like Carl did, because I do go to workshops that are national ones, and they've had some really great ones on immigration, just as one recent example. And then they do the debates too, as well. So those are interesting. And then just keep in mind, you guys are all across the nation. You might have a Braver Angels group in your neighborhood, I mean, meaning you could join your group just like I've joined my group. Deetris, I'm not sure if you go to Coffee and Conversation, but what state are you in?
Yes, I do get the coffee and conversation.
Are you in Illinois? Are you
In
out?
Illinois, yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Because I know we sent Bill, because Bill has a group that he goes to. We call it his friendly MAGA group, but it's really his current issues group. But just because the majority of the people I think are kind of MAGA leaning. But anyway, but yes, even in Bill's neighborhood, there is a Braver Angels group, so you can join locally there, and then participate in some of the local things that they do. Because like Carl's group does more than just even workshops. We have get-togethers. We do community service at a village for people that formerly didn't have homes and now live in these tiny homes. So we have different things that we do to get together. And then for Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action, we live stream all these and have them. So even if you've missed previous sessions, we have them posted on our Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action Indivisible YouTube site. So you can catch them up there.
And I should say that you do not have to be a member of Braver Angels to go to all those kinds of events that Chris mentioned. You can just go to braverangels.org and you'll see a lot of information and a schedule of events all over the country. Some of them would be in your area and maybe ones that are being done in person, but then also all of the online ones. So don't feel like you've got to jump in to become a member to still kind of experience Braver Angels.
Beautiful, thank you.
And I have actually used that new tool that they have, just because what it is, and I don't know if Lillian's still on the call, but it just gives you a chance to practice, and then you try your response with this AI robot type person, and then they're like, yeah, you did a really good job there, but you might have said, this is where it gives you feedback. And
Yeah.
so I know for me, I just have to practice this stuff over and over and over for it to get, to where it comes naturally to me.
But in order to participate in that, using that tool, I do have to become a member.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
for now
So
you do.
I think that's well worth it. So
Yeah,
if you
and
take
and I just exactly. I just see it. I saw my $12. I actually was a member prior, just because I just see it as a way to keep the organization, going, right? I mean, as a donation, because the workshops are just so good. So that was just an added benefit that I got because I had signed up. So
Thank you.
all right. Well, thanks everyone for hanging in. You guys were tough. So, all right, we are going to end the session for tonight, and appreciate everybody coming. And it's on YouTube if you want to revisit it or share it with somebody else that you love or care about. Okay. Thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Evaluation thing, that's what I want.